Alright, so my name's Sarah. I'm one of the two coaches from Wanna Try. And my husband Seth is the other coach, and he's usually tech support, but he's not here. So we offer full service coaching. I do the swim coaching and custom training plans, and we really work with all levels of people from beginner through KQ, BQ, through Kona, through Boston, all that kind of stuff. I do swim coaching and the custom coaching plans, and Seth does cycling and running, the technical things. So the topic of today is just Try 101. So basically for a lot of you first timers or any of you have questions. So the format will be I'll just sort of talk through the whole race day schedule and try to hit the details along the way. It should only be about 20 minutes. And then if you guys have any questions, I'm just going to open it up to the floor and whatever you guys want to know about the race or just triathlon in general. So just a quick show of hands here to get a feel. How many of you, this is your very first triathlon ever? Wow, fantastic. Well, welcome to the sport. It's a great first race, and I hope it leads to years and years of enjoying the lifestyle of triathlon. How many of you have never done a reverse triathlon before? Okay. And then how many of you have never done a pool tri? So I think it's probably the same show of hands that were there before. Okay, so we'll talk about just basic logistics. So tomorrow you have your packet pickup, and they will have body marking. So you'll be marked on your hands, probably the back of your legs, and the sides of your arms with your number, and it'll match your race number that's on your bib. So you get there for that. I suggest waiting to put sunscreen on until after you've been marked, because the markers don't stick well to the sunscreen, and then you get them all over your stuff. As far as the clothing, what to wear, that's probably the biggest question first timers have. There's no area to change between each event, so you're going to be in your transition area out in the open. In Europe, triathlons, they're fine with you showing your booty off, but in the US, they're not super keen on people doing that. So you pretty much have to wear the same outfit the whole day. So you can really get by with minimum equipment-wise. All of you should have a race day checklist in your bag from us. And if you don't, there's additional ones up there if you want additional copies because you want to use them over the course of races. That is like a really inclusive list of everything you could possibly think of needing for triathlon for any distance. At the bare minimum, really what you need though is a pair of tri-shorts, bike helmet, and sneakers. And that'll really get you away with what you need to do. So the tri-shorts are about mid-length. They've got a slightly thicker pad than running shorts, but not as thick as regular cycling shorts, so you can run with them. They'll dry out after the swim, and they're super comfy. So that's probably the best thing you could get. If not, at least a full bathing suit that you can pull a pair of shorts on. So, you're welcome to do as many outfit changes as you want, as long as you're not totally down to the skin when you're doing it. But really, if you're looking to eke a lot of time out, the tri-shorts are probably the minimum best investment that you can get. Then as far as shoes, the next step up would be to get the elastic yanks or zip ties on your shoes. I don't have them on mine, but those make them so you don't have to tie your shoelaces. You can just, they're elastic, you slip them on and you go. So that's the next one up. If you're going to have different cycling shoes for your bike and be in clips, that certainly provides a lot more power on the bike, but again, completely unnecessary. So the one thing you do have to have on the bike, absolutely, is a helmet. And you want to make sure that helmet is seated so it's right above your eyebrows, not pushed back. And our rule of thumb on that is to make sure, and USAT rules, the way it works is you cannot be on your bike without your chin strap snapped. So the easiest way not to make any mistake with your bike helmet is when you get into transition for the bike ride, it's the first thing you put on and it's the last thing you take off. So you put it on before you touch your bike, and then you rack your bike after before you take it off. And that's really a good way to assure that you never break that rule for safety's sake. So that's about it as far as minimum equipment that you need. And then once you look at the checklist, you can start to get really fancy from up there, all the way up to like just full equipment where you're really talking about very fast transitions. And then the next thing up that I always tell people is a race belt. So you have a bib number in there. For those of you who've done run races, it's great. Just pin it to your front and you go. For triathlon, you don't want to be swimming with a race number pinned to your front because it's just more drag. So what we usually tell folks to do, the race belts, they're like $8. They're worth every penny. So they're just a little elastic strap, and they hold your bib number. And on the swim, you leave them off because they go with what's on your hands and what's on your cap for what your race number is. And then on the bike, you usually wear them in the back if you're required to wear them. And then you just turn them around to the front on the run, and you go. So more and more races are not requiring you to wear your bike number, your number on the bike. Because you've already got it on your hands, your helmet, a couple other places. So that would be it as far as clothing. So as far as when you get there, you're going to do body marking. You're going to head into your transition area. Transition for the bike and the run is in the same location. There are some triathlons where it's a point-to-point, so you end up with 2 transition areas and 2 sets of stuff. But for this one, what you have is you'll just come in and there'll be rows for your bike. We've got open seating, I guess is how you want to say it. So some races, they actually have the numbers on the racks and you have to put your bike in that specific location. For this race, it's just kind of first come, first serve, rack however you like. The best way to do it is by the seat. So you hook the seat under the rack and then on it, and then alternating directions. So that gives everybody the most room. It's one bike facing one way and then the next bike facing the other way. As far as what your area is, legally, USAT guidelines, your area is an 18 by 36 inch space to the right side of your front tire. So it's a little fast and loose. Like you rarely see that one enforced except for in big races. But just for politeness and the fact that everyone's sharing a transition area, you want to keep your area pretty small and compact. So once you rack your bike by the seat, the front tire will be down. So you can put a small folded towel to the right side of your tire, and that's really your area for all your stuff. And then you're just going to set all your stuff out in the order you're going to use it for the day. You're allowed to have nutrition on the bike. You're allowed to have your helmet and your sunglasses and all that balanced on your bars, all that kind of thing, not a problem. And then at smaller races, you're allowed to have your bags in transition. Since Boston, they've disallowed that rule at larger races, but for these smaller ones, it's not a problem. So you're going to set up your transition area, just kind of lay it out in the order you're going to use it. And then for reverse tri, you're going to start with the run. So you're going to put all your run gear on and head to the start line. So I think the way this race is going is the kids will go first, and then once the last kid is off the course, they'll start sometime in the range with the men's and then the women. So it's a mass start. You line up just like you would for any road race. You have timing chips that will mark you once you cross the start line with a big beep, and off you go. Run the course, come back in, then you're going to come back into transition, get your bike stuff on, so pull off all your run stuff, put it back in your general area, put on your bike helmet first, clip it first, change shoes if you need to, do whatever you need to do the bike ride. And so on the run, things to keep in mind for the run. Don't litter, stay on the course, don't cut the corners, and the big one is no music. So unlike road races that are a lot more tolerant of wearing music, triathlon, it's a big safety issue. So it's not on the run, it's not on the bike, just leave them at home. It is a disqualifiable offense in any USAT sanctioned race. So once you're on the bike, helmet required, we talked about that. Try not to block, and the way not to block on the bike course is to make sure you stay on the right side of the bike course, except for if you're passing. So if you're passing, you would always pass on the left. When you go to pass another cyclist, you're going to say on the left, so they know that you're coming by. And unfortunately, for everyone that's a first-timer that didn't attend this meeting, they may not do that for you, but you should at least set the standard in the culture so it moves forward. So you have 15 seconds to pass once you start your pass. And then this triathlon is a non-drafting triathlon. Almost all the triathlons in the United States are non-drafting. ITU is just not that popular in the US. You're allowed to draft on the swim and the run, but not the bike. So by that means you basically have a square that is 7 meters by 3 meters around you that's a draft zone on the bike. So the way to think about it is like 2 bike lengths this way and 1 bike length this way. So if you have a friend doing the race, riding side by side with your friend is not an option on the bike course. One of you needs to be however far in front or behind the other person so you're not blocking the bike path. And then you're only passing people to get in front or go. Once you start to pass, you have to complete the pass. So don't go unless you're sure you can get past that person. You know, get halfway up and then kind of fall back and do that number. And hopefully the person you pass isn't going to see you and like speed up and try to prevent that, because that's not good either. And then once you pass, you pull back into the right and off you go again, right? So as far as other bike etiquette, again, no littering. So if you're eating out there, that kind of thing, keep your stuff with you. Put, if you're having any food, make sure you put it back in your pockets, that kind of thing. This is a pretty short race, so I'm not sure anyone's taking nutrition, but when you go on to bigger races, all these rules apply as well. And I think that's about it. Oh, so one other thing I would mention is there's a mount and dismount line for the bike. So when you head out of transition, you're not going to, in your area, immediately get on your bike and just kind of ride out. So you actually have to roll your bike out of transition. There'll be a big mount line. There'll be someone there going mount, out, and then you're going to get your bike beyond that line, stand, and then go. So one thing I would mention, and then when you come back in, it's the same thing. There's a dismount line. You don't want to be coming in like a banshee into transition. So once you start to see the final curve, start to take it easy, slow down, realize that people are getting off their bicycles. So for the mount line, the only advice I would give, whether you're riding clip shoes or whether you're riding regular sneakers, is just make sure you have a clear line of sight before you get rolling and go. It can be a little bit of a cluster at the mount line sometimes. It's perfectly fine for you to roll your bike 10, 15, 20 feet beyond the mount line and kind of get to one side and go rolling, especially if you've got clip shoes and you're not super comfortable with them. But I would just just caution everybody, once you're beyond the line, you're welcome to stay off your bike, but you can get on it at any time, so just sort of spread out and do your thing. And then the other thing we see is on the dismount line, everybody sort of like screech right up to the edge, and then there's the clump again. So you're welcome to kind of stop a few feet back. Same thing. Dismount, run your bike in, you're going to rack your bike, and then it's time for the swim. So the pool you guys are swimming in this is what you call a classic serpentine swim. So in a non-reverse try, the way they do it is they have everybody line up, usually youngest to oldest by gender, and they just count people off, and every 10 seconds someone goes. But because we're doing a reverse try, hopefully you guys will be all gapped out after having done the run on the bike. So what's going to happen is just as you come in, you're going to get your bike stuff off and get ready for the swim. So grab your goggles and take off your shoes and probably your race belt, because you don't want to be swimming with that, or if you've got to change a shirt or undo clips to get the flap off before you get in. And then when you swim, this is called a serpentine swim. So it's a 200-meter pool divided into 8 lanes, each of 25 meters. So what you'll do is, for the kids, you're going to do 8, right? You're going to go up one lane, duck under the lane line, swim back the other lane, duck under the lane line, swim back, and do that, and then the kids are done. And for the adults, then you got to run all the way back around and get back to the side and do it again. So the pool's about 5 foot deep in its deepest spot. There's no diving when you initially get in or when you come back for your second loop. You have to lower yourself in. Any type of swimming is allowed. You're not constrained to freestyle if you don't want to use it. And you're welcome to rest on the walls. You're even welcome to rest on the lane line, but try not to impede traffic. And you can't progress yourself down the pool. Technically, so in an open water race, technically, if you can touch the bottom, you're allowed to use the bottom for forward progress, but that's highly discouraged in a pool triathlon. But just so you know, for later. And you're still in an open water, you're not allowed to pull yourself along by anything you do. So, gotta swim. But you could do backstroke, breaststroke, side stroke, freestyle, whatever you want to do, just be safe. A lot of race directors discourage backstroke because it's tough to see and you're all over the place, so that one is really a last resort, and I'm not sure if Jeremy is one of those. I don't think he is. So you're going to swim down, rest on the wall as long as you need to, duck under, swim back. The rules for the swim are pretty similar to the bike. So you want to stay to the right except to pass when you're heading down a lane. You don't have to call on your left when you go by the person this time. You should expect contact. So triathlon swimming, there is contact. So the big thing I would say is don't freak out. So if you have someone like touch you when you're in these triathlons, just go spaghetti. Just get really relaxed. Luckily you guys are finishing with this swim, so you should already be pretty relaxed. You should have most of the angst out of you as opposed to these races that you start with this swim. And the races that start with this swim, we actually recommend most people take a warm-up jog if they're stressed or nervous about this swim, just to kind of get their core temperature up and get relaxed. Because the most important rule of swimming is to stay relaxed, right? We consume a lot less oxygen when we don't have every muscle in our body tensed, and we float a lot better as humans if we're kind of splayed and relaxed. So that would be the first thing I would say. So it's tough when someone goes, okay, relax, relax. So I do recommend, if you're a nervous swimmer, break it up into sections, focus on specific parts of your stroke, count. But really, you're in control of your own environment and yourself, and you can't really control all the other stuff going on around you. So I would just say, ignore it. We have an article on our website for things you could practice in the pool to get used to contact and that kind of thing. But you are going to have contact. Every time you brush someone, you don't have to stop and go, oh, sorry, right? Just keep going. Everyone, just the way to think about it is everyone's a bunch of ping pong balls or little leaves on the wind, and just go. So try to pass with enough distance that you're, you don't want to come right up on the side and really go. So, but expect contact. It's fine. And honestly, if you stay relaxed and you have the contact, it's a lot less of a big deal than if you're tense. So you're putting tense hands and doing this kind of thing. The contact is a drag. But if you're just very relaxed and everything's just, nice wide elbows, nice relaxed forearms, it's not a big deal. So once you complete the serpentine swim, you're pretty much done. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else. You won't be getting caps for this swim because it is a pool swim. Some pool swims, they do give you caps that you're required to wear that have your number written on the side. Any open water event you participate in absolutely will have a swim cap that you have to wear for safety reasons and for visibility, but you don't have them for this one, so whatever you want to wear. Women that have longer hair, I highly suggest that you at least have it back in a pony or at least covered because it is quite a bit of drag and it's a bummer to have it in your eyes. Goggles, any goggles will do. They have swim-specific goggles. If you don't have those, there's really no illegal goggles. Like anything would work. You could wear a scuba mask, and all that's quite legal. Technically, you can use a front-facing snorkel too. So that's pretty much it for the format. Are there any specific questions? Yeah.
When you go in the water the first time and then you get out, you're coming back to the original point of
Yeah.
entry.
Yeah.
So the other people who are coming in behind you now, how are you going to space that?
It's just, first come, first serve. So, yeah, if you're there first, you hop in and go. If you need to stand there for a second and wait, and that you'll find too a lot, people kind of be hanging out on the walls. So if you come up on the wall, don't feel like, if you're ready to go again, don't feel like, I mean, that's a really good place to pass on the wall. And there's a couple different ways. We actually do an in-water clinic for Trifecta Cure that we actually demonstrate a lot of this stuff. But, you know, for right now, if you come into the wall, dip under, turn around and go. But you can also, if you are someone who does open turns in a swimming pool, where you come in, you know, you squash your feet, you do that, and you push off and go the other direction. You can actually do that under the lane line. You can come in and then just push off under the lane line. You don't have to duck under if you don't want to, as long as you come up in the correct lane heading back the other direction. So that's legal too.
How does the timing end? Like, it's get out or
There's a mat. There'll be another mat you run across with your chip, and it'll automatically log that you're completed.
after you get out of the pool?
Yeah, there's a finish line. So.
So we'll have water on our bikes. Is it a good idea for sure is to have a bottle with us on the run as well?
I think there will be an aid station for the sun, and since you're starting with the run, you're probably not going to be depleted on the run. And you can drink as much swimming pool water as you like.
If you have a child going, my understanding was you can accompany your child even if you're not officially a registrant or whatever.
Yep, I believe that's true. I don't know, we have over there that knows the rules. Yeah. Yeah, the kids one. I mean, all of this is supposed to be fun. So some of these rules I'm laying out, some of the etiquette I'm laying out, are definitely applicable and more highly enforced in larger triathlons. But I figure I got you here, you might as well know, because you're going to all love this so much, you're going to do it again. So, yeah, go ahead.
What time does our bike have to be in the transition area?
Let me see. According to the schedule, transition area closes at 6:25, so you'd have to have it in by then. So honestly, I recommend getting there pretty early, and it's much better to just sort of be able to take your time and set up and get body marks, check out the course. Remember where you parked your bike. That's a big one. So people kind of rack and then they wander off and they're like, oh, you know, running back and forth trying to figure out where it is. So, you know, look for a landmark, count rows from where you'll be running in to figure out where your bike is. And then if you have extra time, just sit, you know, just be a little turtle, find a nice area, be calm, enjoy the day, and really try to conserve your energy. But there's a saying in swimming and a saying in triathlon and a lot of sports that slow is smooth, smooth is fast, and then the other one is arrive early to finish first. And I'm a firm believer in those, is that you don't want to be completely tense and pressed for time. So I get there early, you know. Usually, for the bigger races, we recommend you're there an hour before transition closes. For these smaller ones, you know, you want to leave 30 to 40 minutes at least. So
with the body marking, do we still have to wear the number for the roller?
yeah, yeah.
And we can remove it out of those.
Yeah, I'm not sure they're going to require it on the bike. I mean, it's going to take time, but you definitely want it off by the time you're in the swim.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the bike numbering is in the bag as well.
It's the same. You just wear your bib. So.
Okay, those two numbers.
There is a number to go, that goes on the top bar of your bike.
Of your bike.
So
Yeah,
we'll have
and that's
that.
to make sure that you don't leave with someone else's bike, basically. So your bib and your bike have to match for you to roll them out of transition.
This is my son's first triathlon. Were there people there trying to help the kiddos?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a family-friendly event. That's why they have the kid one. So, yeah.
For the kids swimming, because it's 200, you have to swim it twice or just once?
Just once. So it's 8 rows of 25 meters each. So that's exactly once, and then you guys are done. Any other questions? Yeah. I'm not sure, but unless you're the first person out of the water, right? So if you are, you know, we're going to have that discussion. And if you're not, just follow her, okay?
So we'll be exiting both ways.
No. I mean, you'll come back out. Everyone. I mean, you're going to take the shortest path back to the beginning. So you're going to end up, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then just go straight back to the one. So you're going to stay on the safe side of the current.
Does the bike have to get wrapped on the safe side?
Yeah, because your stuff's all going to be there. And that's a good point. So when you go back to rack your bike, you're probably going to be a little shaky. You're going to be thinking about the next thing, you know, and then trying to change focus to get all your stuff off. But yeah, you need to rack in the same area, and you need to be neat with how you rack, remembering that you have neighbors around you that may be behind you. So putting your rack in it, you know, the bike at weird angles, or just kind of throwing it in there and throwing all your stuff around. Keep your transition area in your area. So.
This is the first time I've heard somebody say this, so I'm glad I was here, that you do the right side basically off your front tire.
Yeah.
When you undo your bike, if you're at the front, does it pull underneath then?
Depends on the rack height. It depends on the rack height.
So then you might have to walk around and grab it?
No, usually you can tip them over and push them through.
So you just pull
or
it
you
towards
can be on the back and pull it straight back and just go that way. So yeah, the rack, for any of you that haven't seen a bike rack before, it's just two little pyramid T-bars on the end and just a long piece of metal that's about that wide around, just like 4 inches above bike seat height. So you just lift it and hook the front of your bike seat on the back of the rack, and that's how they work. So,
And is the kid area the same place for the adults?
yeah.
Don't you say?
I don't know that one. So that one I can find out for you.
Last year it was asphalt.
Yeah. So, you know, and you're going to be barefoot and all that. So that's part of the reason. So that little towel that kind of marks your area is extremely useful. I don't know how many of you read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy with the towel, but yeah, the towel is the triathlete's friend. So when you do come in, if you have stuff on your feet, you know, usually you swim, your feet are wet, and that's the first thing you got to do, and then you got to get in the wet bike socks and all that. So you guys are lucky you're doing it in the opposite order, because you're finishing barefooted on the swim. And that's really the way to go for not having a bunch of grass stuck to your feet and all that kind of thing. But definitely, you know, that towel, if you want to use a bigger towel to dry off and all that, that's not the one to lay out in transition. Or if you do, you need to like put it into a smaller area. But yeah. Any other questions?
Well, then the question is, when you rack and then you go into the swimming pool, how far is that distance? Are we all just going barefoot, or are we?
Yeah, you just go barefoot.
We're all just going barefoot.
Yep. Yeah, you don't need flip-flops for that. Most of them, they're planned pretty well for knowing when you can have shoes and not have shoes.
The
So
asphalt in that parking lot is smooth. It's not like the bumpy, rocky asphalt. It's the smoother like tar asphalt, so it shouldn't be too bad on your feet. Might be a little warm, but it's fine.
but it'll be sweaty, so it won't be a problem. Any other questions? All right, if you have any other things that you guys think of, you're welcome to email me. Like I said, you should have race day checklists in your bag. That's sort of the extreme stuff, you know, not extreme, but that's like really the complete list of everything you could possibly ever need for triathlon, including like a long course triathlon as far as all the nutrition things. So it was very nice to meet you all, and good luck. Have fun this weekend.
You're welcome.